me get my
Good morning.
presentation up.
Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us for another spotlight session. Today we have Raina Rauf, who is an insurance agent with State
Allstate,
Farm. Allstate,
Allstate,
sorry, Allstate.
blue, blue, blue.
I knew it had a state in it. I knew it had a state in it. She's
That's
with
okay.
Allstate. She also does flood insurance, car insurance, home insurance, all types of insurances, life insurance. Goodness gracious, she does every insurance you could possibly think of.
Everything, everything.
And she has been in,
College
with
planning,
our
financial services, you got it.
yeah,
Everything.
she does everything. She has been in our office a couple times. She sponsored a photo shoot for us a couple months ago, and then she was here last month to do a great presentation on flood insurance. So I'm going to let Raina go ahead and take it away. Raina, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me. All right, let me just start my presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, let's come on slideshow. There we go. Good. All right. So today's topic that we're talking about is home insurance essentials, just understanding a little bit about home insurance so you know how to help your clients. So a little bit about me. I think some of you were on my flood course last month and met me in person at the photo shoot, which was a lot of fun. But I graduated from Rutgers University with a degree in finance and an MBA. I've had my real estate license since 2004, and my license is with you guys at Keller Williams in the referral program there. Been an insurance agent since 2007. I live right in Montgomery. Been married for 20 years this July. Two kids in the Montgomery schools. And I love tennis, hiking, food, and travel. So that's my background. So, what is home insurance? And I'd asked Lawrence to maybe have people, bring their home insurance policy with them today so that they can go through some of the coverages as I go through them. So, if you have it handy, if you want to take a minute just to get it, and we can go from there. So, what is home insurance? Um, so, just the basic of insurance is insurance, you're pooling or sharing risk amongst a large group of people. All right. So, if you have a $500,000 home and it burns down, are you going to pay the 500,000? Or are you going to pay maybe, $1,500, $2,000 for the insurance part of it and pass that risk on to the insurance company and to a pool of people? So that's what insurance is about. So home insurance offers protection against sudden and accidental losses to your home or personal property. So it's not, the pipe has been dripping for 10 months. I never took care of it. It's not something that's been going on for a long time. I never fixed my roof or didn't change it after 20, 25 years, whatever the time is for your roof. So it's for sudden and accidental losses that happen to your home or your personal property. The policy is legal contract between you and the insurance company. So the goal of the policy is to make you whole after you have a loss, up to the limits of your policy. And I'll explain the different coverages in it. And in exchange, you're paying the premium per year, right? So it's a contract, you're paying something, you're getting something. So the types of coverage vary based on what you're doing. So is it a home insurance policy? Is it a townhouse? Is it a condo? Is it a rental property? Do you need a builder's risk policy? Is it a short-term rental? So all that kind of changes the type of policy that we write for the people. A lot of times people think, I'm renting my house, but I just need a homeowner policy. No, you need a landlord policy. So based on what you're doing in that transaction, the agent can help guide what type of policy it is. The biggest one we see a lot is homeowners versus condos. For example, in Monroe, there's a lot of active adult communities there. Even though they're single family homes, many of those are set up as a condo association. So we would actually do a condo policy for them versus a homeowner policy. So there's different coverages involved, and I'm happy to do a separate class on condo insurance at another date. I've done those for the folks living in those associations in Monroe. That's where my office is, but happy to do that as well. So the next part of the insurance policy, if you hear this word called deductible, that's your share of the cost. So you're saying that I'm okay to pay $1,000, 2,000, 5,000 to bring down the price of the policy for me. So the higher the deductible, the lower your premium is going to be. And premium means just the cost that you're paying, the price of the policy. So the basic perils that are covered in the policy are fire and smoke. So if your home catches on fire, there's smoke damage, that's covered. Lightning, wind, hail, theft, and vandalism. So as you see, these are all sudden and accidental things that can happen to your home. And as we know, not included, as we talked about in the flood class, flood or earthquake is not included in the policy. So we do get separate riders or separate policies for those type of things. Some homeowners policies may include earthquake, but nobody includes flood. So the different types of coverages in the policy. So the main coverage you see is the dwelling coverage. That protects the structure of your home, so the roof, the walls, the electrical systems, anything that's permanently affixed to your home that falls under the dwelling coverage. The next section is your personal property. So that's all the contents in your home. So I would say if you take your home, flip it upside down, shake it, anything that can fall out, that's all covered under personal property. It also includes things if it's stolen outside of the house. So let's say you have a whole bunch of items in your trunk of your car gets stolen. The contents in your car would actually be a claim under your homeowner policy because it's considered your personal property and not your car insurance. The next coverage we have is called liability, and that defends you if you get sued for something that you're liable for. So an example would be, and this has happened, several examples, but I had a homeowner that didn't clean up the snow on their sidewalk. Um, and somebody tripped and fell, slipped on the black ice, tripped and fell, broke their leg, was out of work, and the insurance policy paid the liability because the homeowner never took care of their property. Or let's say you leave a garden hose out and don't put it away and someone gets injured and they sue you. That's where your liability coverage would come into play. So generally, liability coverage, I recommend at least $300,000 of coverage. Larger homes, 500,000, or that's more to protect your assets. So the more assets you have, the more liability coverage you want. The next coverage we have is called guest medical protection. And the amount of coverage on policies for this is pretty limited. It's maybe $5,000 or $10,000. And that pays for medical expenses for someone that's injured on your property. This again is for small things, not liability. And I'll pause. I think Joe has a question, so happy to just jump in and take a quick pause here.
Sure, no problem. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
on liability,
Mhm.
you hire a landscaper, something happens while they're cutting the grass. Is liability insurance going to cover you here, or is it their policy as a business going to cover them?
I would go for their policy as a business.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yep. The other thing that can happen if you get sued and your company wants to be involved in it, and let's say they pay, there's something called subrogation, where then they can go after the other insurance company to recover
So,
money.
so us as real estate agents, we're in homes all the time. I mean, quite frankly, we're in sometimes unsafe homes. I mean, something happened, you fall through steps, you get hurt there. How does that reflect a homeowner, a
Hmm.
seller? Now, does that put them at risk
It does
as
put
well?
them at risk, yeah.
Right.
It
So
absolutely does.
showing homes or at being a seller, having agents come in, they have to be somewhat conscientious of that as well. Hence, making
Absolutely.
their home a little more safe in that standpoint. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Thanks.
Mhm. All right. The next coverage we have is called additional living expenses. So let's say there's a fire in your home and you can't live there while your home is being rebuilt. If there's you have to go stay in an apartment or a hotel for a little bit of time, the policy would cover something like that. And the next coverage we have is called other structures. So that's anything that's detached from your home. So that would be, and it has to be a building on your property. So detached garage, a shed, a fence. This is under other structures. So if you do have somebody that maybe has a big barn on the property or a large detached garage, we would look to increase the coverage for this portion of it. The insurance policy has a lot of the coverages already preset as a percentage of your dwelling coverage. So the dwelling coverage is the main coverage on the property or for the home. The insurance company does what's called a replacement cost calculator. So we take into account the size of the home, the age of the roof, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, upgrades to the properties, the basement finish. These are all things that we look at to develop what the insurance company thinks is the cost to replace the home. Now, this is not the same as the market value of the home. These are different numbers that we look at. We do look at the value of the home, but the insurance company is more interested in how much it's going to cost to completely rebuild the home if it burns down to the ground and you're starting at the base. Right? So we don't look at the cost of the land as the cost of the structure itself. We also include cost of debris removal. So, the house burns down, there's all that stuff there. What happens to it? You're not just starting from a raw piece of land. So we include removing all of that from there as well and then starting over.
So Raina, if I can ask this,
Yeah.
do insurance keep up in reference to the value of the home? As an example, homes, let's say, to go 5% per year. I
Hmm.
think isn't there kind of a built-in number, like 2 or 3% increase the insurance policies go? So let's say my house is being insured for 500,000, but
Yes.
it's really valued at six.
Mhm.
But you're only going to pay me based on 500,000. Is that correct?
So there's two parts to that. The insurance policies have an inflation guard built into them.
Hmm.
So I get this question all the time, why did the price of my policy go up? The price of your policy went up because your coverage went up to keep up with the cost of inflation.
Right.
So we
Okay.
look at the labor and the material costs that go into that. And as you know, the cost of labor and material has gone up drastically, especially after
Hmm.
COVID. The cost of lumber was astronomical. Just finding people to do the work, the labor that goes into rebuilding a home, it's gone up, very, very high. So those factors play into why your coverage goes up every year because you want to keep up with the cost of inflation. So that's a really good point, Joe. Thank you for bringing that up. But that's definitely built in there. So if you see your premium goes up, yeah, because your coverage went up. Now we can review it and go through it and see if it's an older policy, if things need to be updated. Um, Within the policy, we can help you with that. And if you've upgraded your kitchen, so you went from, I don't know, Formica to granite countertops, or you redid your bathrooms, or you went from carpet to wood floors, or you refinished your basement, let your insurance company know so that they can update the replacement cost on your home as well.
So I, as a real estate agent, want to look for an opportunity that can use your information to market valuable information to clients, potential clients.
Yes.
What can I do to leverage you and your information here
Mhm.
that's going to say that, wow, Joe's really creating a lot of value for me. That's the guy I want to list my home with.
I will definitely send you a home insurance brochure. I sent the one on
Okay.
flood, and
Okay.
just to, hand out to the seller, hey, we got this resource that can definitely help you. Here's the brochure, but we have this knowledgeable agency, with a good amount of agents on our team. Will help you, number one, get to closing quickly, um, because you need the evidence of insurance before you close. So we can help you with that and help get the right coverage for you. This is your largest asset for majority of people. This is their largest asset. You want to make sure that it's covered properly. If you're paying six, seven, $800,000 on a home, your mortgage payment is, five, $6,000 a month. Are you going to worry about 10, $15 a month when you're paying that much to insure that property? So these are things that, we can talk to as professional insurance people, as professional real estate people, show your knowledge with your sellers. That's why
And
these
more,
these kind of tips and thoughts definitely help. Mhm.
and I apologize if I'm
Yeah,
asking too
no
many
problem.
questions here, but
No, no, I
more,
love it. I love the
more,
interaction. This is great.
yeah, more often than not, what happens is, well, I get my auto insurance through XYZ, and I'll
Hmm.
just call them, and nobody really shops for insurance. They just get it, and it's sort of like an afterthought. I got inspections, I got attorney review, I got the mortgage, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, I need insurance. Let me just call XYZ, and they could probably do this too. So nobody really shops that. What would your advice be to have someone, an agent like me, say, hey, listen, here's what you need to do, really upfront and really
Absolutely.
shop around. Okay, so
I would say
that's what I'm.
upfront, yes. You don't want to wait till the last minute, especially in this type of marketplace. What's happening on the insurance side is a lot of insurance carriers are restricting the coverage that they offer. So for policies that I could do, overnight. If it's an easy property, new roof, no issues with it, great house, quick, very quick turnaround. But if there's an older roof, and I'm going to say older than 15 or 20 years old, or it's a vacant property, or it's a seasonal property, definitely start the insurance process early on because it gives us a chance to number one, shop it around. I also have access to other carriers also. So shop it around to make sure we get the right coverage and a good rate. So those two things really make a difference. So start early on in the process. Don't wait till later on because it's difficult to get coverage right now. There's very limited capacity in the insurance place in the marketplace.
You
So
mentioned about a roof. You mentioned about a roof 15 years old.
yeah.
That's been an issue for me several times over, where the house that they're buying is a 15-year roof on a 25-year life expectancy on a roof, and yet they had a hard time getting insurance for it. I was like, well, you got another 5 or 10 years on a roof. Why is that an issue? It's an issue because insurance companies getting slammed with having to replace, and now they're not making as much money. Is that really what the issue is? And now what I'm finding too,
Uh-huh.
they're charging more in premiums to say, well, we'll give you insurance, but your premium is going to go up as a result of a 15-year-old roof.
Yeah. Or
Is
they
that,
may not even take it.
you might not even
I
take it.
can't tell you how many people, if the roof is over 15 years old, it's a flat no, because there have been with all the rain coming in, with all the storms and the wind, that's what blows shingles off. So like we talked about wind early on as one of the covered perils. So there's so many storms constantly rolling through this area. You guys see how much water is there all the time. So the amount of claims has gone up drastically. And as I said in the beginning, insurance is a shared pool, right? We're all sharing the risk.
Right.
I don't have $500,000 to pay out if my house gets destroyed. Can I pay 2,000? Yeah. And then share the risk with everybody else. But there's
Yeah.
so many claims. So even if it doesn't happen specifically to you, we look at different areas of risk. There's different rating territories. Some are riskier than others. At the shore, it's going to be more because you have flood risk, you have storms coming in, you have the storm surge from the ocean coming in. So it depends on where you are. Might, up in North Jersey in the mountains, it might be less risky because you don't have those different factors. But we all share in that pool. So
I'm
definitely
also
start the
seeing
process early. Yeah.
I'm also seeing insurance companies getting a little cautious about older hot water heaters, older HVACs.
Hmm.
Is this going to be a continuous trend? I got older windows. I have an older whatever. And is it just going to be the fact that people are going to pay more of a premium as a result of having an older type of home?
So
Is that
yes, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. So there's going to be number one, can you get a policy? So that's going to be number one. If you get a policy, is it going to be, and I'll get into this later, but since we're talking about it now, are you going to get replacement cost coverage on the home? Or is the policy only going to offer what's called actual cash value? So the depreciated cost of that property, right? So if I buy something today, if I buy a car today, the minute I drive off the lot or 3, 4 years later, that's depreciated. So the value's lower than what I have now. So the older homes, number one, you may or may not get coverage. Number two, if you do get coverage, you may not get replacement cost coverage. You might just get the actual cash value, so the depreciated value of the home. And it could be more expensive. Or they would require they go and do an inspection of the property, and the homeowner, and it's happened to me several times, is required to update the electrical system. So they have to go and update the panel. They don't want homes with knob and tube wiring in it because it's a fire risk. It can catch on fire so quickly. So that's why they would ask you to replace it. They don't want old hot water heaters because they get rusted on the bottom and the water comes out. So that's why these things have life expectancy. Same thing with roof. Roof is huge. I would say number one is roof. So if you see old roof, that's a big red flag for the insurance company.
Joe, these are absolutely great questions. I'm thinking them, just not getting the words out quick enough. But I wanted to say when I bought my home,
Hmm.
we got an insurance company a month after living in the home. We actually were told that they're dropping us if we didn't redo our roof and if we didn't replace certain windows. We didn't know that until after a month that we had already purchased the home. And they literally dropped us the next month and we had to scramble to get a new roof and replace two windows. So this it's actually good for you to explain everything. And this was back in 2018. And I can just imagine stuff's getting even more strict now. So quick question is somebody can buy a home,
Hmm.
but the whole process can be held up if insurance doesn't approve. Like what would they do then? Because they would miss the deal on the house at that
They would
point,
miss the
right?
deal. Yes, they would miss
Okay.
the deal. So I would say definitely start early in the process because it is
Okay.
more difficult to get insurance. I wouldn't wait until, you're 2 days before because it's tough. And the same
Y-
situation, you may get something if you might not know the details of the house. How many of
Yeah.
you know the age of the roof on a home? Is that something that's in the inspection? They can give an estimate of the life of the roof. Is it in the appraisal? Maybe, unless the seller knows the age of the roof. So that's a really pertinent question because roofs are a huge issue right now.
Is
It's
there
just
any other? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
no, no. I was saying it's just getting to be more and more of a challenge from a seller standpoint to start to fix things or making your
Hmm.
house more appetizing or less appetizing based on older type of things. And
Yeah.
so the challenge is, do they have the money to do those? Or in this market right now, the seller can say, no, you take it like it is. And then
Mhm.
the poor buyer, or Laurel's case, now is responsible for a roof down the road and windows or whatever it might be.
Right.
It's just something we have to kind of coach people along because when this hits, because we've had deals fall apart as a result of not getting insurance,
Hmm.
looking for an all cash buyer. Well, that's even tough to do because you still need to get insurance, but it's just a lot of things that play into what we do as agents that are far removed from just listing and selling homes.
Right.
We have to figure this whole thing out. So having you as a guide would be very imperative in a situation like these that we're discussing here. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Laurel, did you have another question?
No, basically, Joe's picking this stuff out of my mind
I
tonight
love it.
or today and just like putting it
Uh-huh.
out there. But thank you.
All right, let's continue on. All right, so some add-on coverages. Water backup. This was huge after Sandy because all the basements had water in them. So this is water backs up through your sump pump breaking or a drain backing up into your home. I had the same problem myself. My sump pump just couldn't keep up with all the rain. So I had water, but I had the coverage on my policy, so I was okay. Scheduled personal property. People often overlook this. Home insurance policies don't cover all your jewelry. They may cover maybe $1,000 of stuff. So if you have things like engagement rings, antiques, let the insurance company know we can add it on to the policy. And then another one that we offer is called service lines coverage. And you may have seen this. I think American Water, one of the companies, always sends out letters in the mail to cover the service lines. So that's the lines that offer service to your home. So the electrical lines going to a septic tank outside, the line going to the water main. So we offer coverage, also offers coverage in the policy for a service line. Not all companies offer this, or then companies like American Water will send something out, but you can add this on to your insurance company.
So they do have American Water because I have American Water. They do offer
Mhm.
service. It was $7 a month. Now it's up to $30 a month because
Wow.
there's more and more claims being filed.
Yeah.
And we just had this to our neighbor and some homes around us. So we're very conscientious of that. And it's not an easy fix either. And it's a Band-Aid
No.
fix on their report. They come in, they dig, and really depends on the length from the street to your
Yeah.
house. They dig, but they just Band-Aid it up. They don't really fix or repair the whole thing on it too, but went from $7 a month. So, but you're saying a policy you would have that built in. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Well, we added in. It's not,
Okay.
but we have this coverage in our policy. We can add it on. I think for $10,000 of coverage, it's like $60 a year.
Okay. All right. Can I go back to personal property? Is it a
Absolutely.
good practice to
Mhm.
take pictures of stuff, videos, or anything? Is that a
Yes.
good practice? Okay.
Yes. Walk
Okay.
around, take a video. I would save receipts
Okay.
and maybe put it someplace separate or now I was gonna say in the bank, but people don't do that anymore. That's it. I
Yeah.
took a video and everything. I put it in the
Yeah.
safe deposit box.
Yeah.
But just keep it in the cloud somewhere. It's all major purchase receipts, so you have it. So if something
Yeah.
happens, the insurance company's going to say, okay, you're saying you have all this stuff. Where's the proof of it?
Yeah. But we had a lightning strike about 2 years ago, and it
Oh,
fried
no.
a couple different things. And as a result of it, we were able to provide to the insurance company,
Hmm.
what those items were that were fried through an
Yeah.
electrician as well.
Okay.
And we got reimbursed for everything that was there, which is great. So, but
Hmm.
so yeah, I think that's great practice. So,
Yeah. Yep.
Quick
And then,
question.
yeah, yeah.
I'm actually looking at my policy. My street, I'm getting nervous because as it comes down, it
Hmm.
starts up high, and like four neighbors higher than us have a American Water line break, and their front yard is like destroyed. It's awful. So, two questions. Where would I find that on my policy? Because I also have Allstate.
Hmm.
And then the other question is, I have like very expensive like a flower bed and like specialty trees in front of my house. Would it also cover that or just the digging itself?
So there's different coverages. There's something we have called yard and garden.
Hmm.
So that's something, and that's not included in the base policy. So in the Allstate base policy, water backup is included. Service lines is an add-on. It's an optional coverage. If you want to add it, great. Like we don't force people to take whatever coverages
Yeah,
they don't want. Uh, Service lines, and then there's yard and garden. That's a separate coverage that can also be added on. So I'm happy to take a look at your policy. I'll give you my number or my email at the end of this, and then you can just
perfect. Thank
let
you.
me know. I can take a look at it for you. And if you want to add it on, we can take a look at that as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. So
So,
let me
quick
just go
question
back. Yeah,
about
yeah.
when you were saying personal property. So,
Yep.
anything like my
Go
house
back.
goes up in a fire and all my receipts burn up with it. Is there some way to that the insurance company would be able to still be able to cover, what I lost?
Yes. So and this is what I was saying earlier, the dwelling coverage is based on whatever the insurance company determines is the replacement cost of your home.
Hmm.
These other coverages are a percentage of that dwelling coverage. So the company
Okay.
is estimating for you what they think you would have. So,
Okay.
for example, dwelling coverage amount, personal property, generally they say it's between 60 to 70% of your dwelling coverage. So that's the number
Mhm.
they'll give you. Now, if you want to go higher or lower, you can adjust it, but generally around 60 to 70% is what they include in the policy.
Okay. So they wouldn't cover if I had like the Hope Diamond in my house and it like, mysteriously just burned up and disappeared and I don't have a receipt for it.
No, and that would be like jewelry is under scheduled personal property.
Okay.
So jewelry coverage. So if it's a larger item that you have, like an engagement ring,
Hmm.
we can add it on separately to the policy.
Oh, okay.
Lawrence, get your $100,000 of cash in a mattress out of the mattress, okay?
How'd you
The
know?
other, oh gosh, other structures is 10% of the dwelling coverage. So other structures is again like a fence or a shed or detached garage. So if you have something that's larger, we can increase the coverage for that as well. Additional living expenses, I think we do maybe 20% of the dwelling coverage. And then some companies also say you have to rebuild everything in 12 months. We'll only pay for 12 months. We do 24 months, so we'll give you a little extra time there. All right, so we're there. Uh, Flood insurance. Oh, did I put scheduled service lines twice? I did. Flood insurance. We talked about that last time. So that covers damage to your property from a flood. Completely separate policy, not included in any home policy at all. Refer to my flood class from last month, and I sent Lawrence a brochure to send out to everybody in the office on flood insurance. So just give some highlights on it. So Lawrence, if you can just share that with the group, that would be fantastic. Another coverage we offer is umbrella liability coverage. This is a policy that it starts at an additional $1 million of coverage. We can go up to 10 million. If you have a lot of assets, they can do larger amounts of policies as well. But this is additional coverage on your home, auto. If you have rental properties, it can cover the rental properties as well. I especially like this if someone has a swimming pool on the property. The point of the liability coverage is to protect your assets. So if somebody slips and falls and sues you, do you want to pay for it or do you want to pass that risk on to an insurance company that has a lawyer on staff that's going to handle your claim for you? So I've had two instances, maybe I told you guys this in the flood class, but two instances of where children drowned in the swimming pool. One was in Cranberry, one was in Princeton or Plainsboro. One was a 2-year-old and one was a 12-year-old, and the children drowned in the swimming pools. Very tragic, but the homeowners we had given them umbrella policies. So the policy paid out $1 million in each of those situations. Had the person not had that coverage, their homeowner policy would have picked up the first 300 or 500, whatever they had. They would have been on the hook for the balance of the $500,000. So anytime I see a swimming pool, I'm like, please get an umbrella policy. It's very, very tragic and unfortunate, but you don't want to be out of pocket. Same on the auto side. Accidents happen. If you hit one car, that car could hit, you hit 5 cars. I've had people drive into the TD Bank. I've had people drive into uh on Route 1, if you see right across from the Princeton Hospital or the Plainsboro Hospital, that whole stone fence by the dentist. I had someone drive into that, which you probably saw that Lawrence was like, yeah, I know that one. Yeah. So it's all crazy different things that happen. I had someone in my office. He was, I think, in his maybe 40s or 50s that time when it happened. Uh, but he was driving and just something happened. He completely blacked out and hit somebody that was sitting on a bench. So things happen, but that's why you get the coverage. So you're passing the risk on to somebody else. And the price of the umbrella coverage is not exorbitant. Depending on what you have, it can be, maybe $300, $500 for the whole year to get $1 million of coverage.
You also said that Earth
Mhm.
was 'cause I know you said earthquake and flood insurance were separate, right?
Yep.
So how would you get earthquake insurance? Like just to say, like I know
Yeah.
New Jersey is starting to kind of ramp up a little bit when it comes to earthquakes for some strange reason. Not sure what is happening. But how would you actually go about getting like earthquake or being assessed for earthquake
Earthquake.
insurance?
I don't know how you'd be assessed for earthquake. I really don't know that. Some policies include earthquake, so we have some carriers that may include it. It's very, very far and few between. There's
Hmm.
like I can count on my hand the number of ones that I know offer it. So I don't think there's a separate policy for earthquake. It's built into some policies. But
Okay.
flood, definitely anybody can get
Flood is
flood.
definitely
Yeah.
separate.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Raina, I have a question here.
Sure.
Going back to the umbrella
Yep.
coverage.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the pool. What
Mhm.
else would that cover? Is it basically an extension or the amount coverage? Is that what it is? Like what you would have generally on your policy? Say if you have a liability of 500,000.
Mhm.
So if you have an umbrella, does it mean it bumps up to the next level?
So you would have 500,000 on your homeowner policy, and then you would have another million on top of that. So you would actually be covered for 1.5 million.
Okay, so basically, essentially, it means that any kind of liability you have,
Mm-hmm.
I know you gave an example of a pool, but
Right.
any kind of, so that covers up to that dollar amount, correct?
Right. Right. So
Okay,
I explained earlier the slip and fall.
uh-huh.
So the homeowner policy would pay the first part of it, and then the umbrella would pay anything over that.
But as an agent, do you see like for something like a slip and fall, do you see people getting sued for like $2-3 million or something like that? Just trying to understand whether you need to have that umbrella policy just for that thing. You don't have a pool, fine, but yeah.
So I would recommend an umbrella for everybody. Our tagline is you don't have to be a millionaire, but you can be sued like one. New
Hmm.
Jersey is such a litigious state. You can get sued for anything. So I highly recommend an umbrella. And the point of the umbrella is to protect your assets. So we take a look at what do you have at stake and then come up with the umbrella coverage amount after that. So I'm not just going to say, oh, you need 1 million, you need 5 million. We'll take the time to take a look at what do you have? What's the value of your home? What do you have in savings? What other assets do you have? And then we'll come up with a number because you don't just say, yeah, I'm going to sue you for $2 or $3 million, right? You have to go to court and then you get a judgment and then they decide how much the amount is going to be. So that's why you want to make sure that the umbrella is sufficient enough to cover the assets that you have.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Hey, Raina,
Yeah.
trampolines.
Yes.
Do you cancel us out for them?
All state will allow trampolines,
Okay.
but they have to be netted
Hmm.
in good shape, or the property has to be fenced in.
Okay.
But many
Both are
carriers
covered.
will not cover trampolines. That's an exclusion on a lot of properties, but definitely make sure the trampoline's in good shape and has the netting around it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So we briefly touched on actual cash value versus replacement cost. I'm not going to go too much into detail on this, but just to recap, replacement cost is the cost to make you whole. Actual cash value is the depreciated value of the item. So some effective tips when helping your buyers or sellers: have a copy of the appraisal and inspection report handy. We're going to ask for details like age of home, the roof, square footage, is the basement finished, fireplace, any upgrades to the home. Number one is the roof. Number one, I'm going to keep repeating it. That's the biggest reason why we see insurance companies are not like it's a hard no. There's no leeway around it. Um, we do have carriers that will take older roofs. The premium's going to be a lot higher. So yes, we do have somebody that will take it. So it's not a hard no, but just be prepared to pay more money for it. Understand the type of your policy your client needs. So like we talked about, is it a homeowner, a landlord policy, a condo policy? Bundling your home and auto, you can probably get a better rate for bundling it together. And connecting the mortgage broker with the insurance agent definitely helps us to confirm the amount of coverage. The lender might have specific requirements on the coverage that they want to see on the policy based on the loan. So that helps us. We need the mortgage information for the closing. So who do we send the bill to? The closing date, and then any escrow details. Red flags that can delay coverage, and I think we touched on this too, but old roofs, outdated wiring, HVAC or plumbing systems. Are there lead pipes in the home? That's a big no-no. Um, Prior claims on the property, or if there's unrepaired damage, that's going to be an issue as well. Um, the insurance company doesn't want to have a home, and that's why they come out and do an inspection to see if there's unrepaired damage and they want you to fix it, because they don't want to insure a home and then immediately you're filing a claim. Home near water or in flood zones, and vacant or seasonal homes. So it's not a no in all these situations, but it definitely can delay the process or complicate it. So, like we said with Joe, just start earlier on in the process. Some key takeaways. Insurance is just not a formality. It's protection of your client's biggest asset. Mortgage protection insurance is a big part of home ownership. So mortgage protection, so we set it up as a life insurance policy. We match it to the period of the mortgage or the mortgage amount. So, you still have to make your mortgage payments. So if unfortunately one of the homeowners dies, do you have enough money, the other person that's there, do they have money to pay the mortgage, to stay in the home? Or do you have to then do a fire sale? So that's a big part of it. We talk to our clients about that. Early planning will lead to a smoother closing, especially now the way the marketplace is. Give yourself and your buyers enough time to get this done. Be proactive and informed to serve your clients better, and partner with a knowledgeable agent really helps. People go online, get whatever they want, and that's great, but is it the right thing for you? Are you properly covered? This is your biggest asset. Why do you want to guess at it and try to figure it out yourself? And that's it. So this is my information, my email. I will give you my Instagram, since I love social media. Feel free to scan it and tag me. If you tag me on Instagram, I'll send you a $5 Starbucks gift card. So find me, tag me. I will tag you back. I will share your posts and your listings. I know a lot of folks, I share their things. I share Pinky stuff all the time. Dina's things I share. So I will spread it out to my community as well. So please find me, tag me. And then any other questions? I see Abhishek, your hand is up.
Can you
Want to
go
come off
back a
mute?
screen? Can you go back a screen with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Raina,
Yeah,
quick question. So, what is you might have said it, but so apologize for
no problem.
asking that question again. So, at what stage, if you're working with a buyer, at what stage we should involve you or get you connected with the buyer?
I would say when you finish all the paperwork, and I guess you can move from pending to under contract. So you still have some time while the mortgage stuff is processing. I would give yourself at least 2 weeks ahead of time before the closing date, so we have enough time to do it.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
if it's, if the closing's still really far out, just let us know so we can get some idea. We don't have to complete the policy that time, but at least we can have enough time to put the information in the system, check it out, see if it makes sense, and kind of have a conversation with your buyer.
Okay. Thank you, Raina.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, I just want to make a comment though.
Yeah.
Also, I just remembered another thing that our insurance dropped us for were
Hmm.
trees too close to the house.
Yes.
So that's a big thing that I'm actually happy you did this class because I didn't even think about that when I'm walking through homes with buyers as to things that maybe could be a negotiation thing. Obviously, right now is not too much negotiation on the buyer's side, but
Hmm.
in the future, this is something we can use.
Yes. So the rule of thumb is 3 feet, 36 inches. You shouldn't have
Mhm.
any large trees. There should be at least 36 inches away from the foundation of the property. So I've had someone in my office actually took a measuring tape and went to someone's house
Yeah,
over in Belmead, and he's like, I had to take pictures, and he's like, it's more than 36. The inspector goes, they do a quick measurement. They're like, nope, too close. Cut it down, figure it out, canceling the policy.
yeah.
So that's a good point. So
How
I'd
do how
keep
do
them at
fire
least 3 feet away. Hmm?
how do fire hydrants play in?
Fire hydrants, that's a good question too. I love these questions. So we look at if the fire hydrant is 1,000 feet from the property and the fire station is under 5 miles. So those are the
Hmm.
two criteria we look for. We will still insure properties that don't have those things. So when I lived over in Griggstown, it's an older community. There were no fire hydrants anywhere. The fire station was pretty close, but they would have to bring the fire truck with the water to put out any fires. So we'll insure it, but the rate's going to be a little bit higher because there's not easy access to water.
So having a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet lessens your premium.
Yes.
Okay.
Or we'll give you more options for insurance companies to accept your home.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Question out of the chat. Are landlords required to have home insurance?
Landlords are required to have landlord insurance. And I would also have their tenants carry renters insurance
Hmm.
because
Mhm.
none of the tenants' belongings is covered. Tenants' liability is not covered.
Under
So
the
I
landlord's
would
policy.
correct. The landlord's
Right.
policy will not cover anything for the renter or the tenant.
Right.
And I would also have, a proper lease in place that requires them to carry renters insurance and send the landlord proof of that every year so they can make sure that they have coverage. Uh,
That's something I can let my landlords know if they don't already require their tenants to get renters insurance.
Yeah.
So, what does landlord insurance cover besides them having the homeowner's policy?
So in the homeowner policy, you have the dwelling coverage and then the
Right.
personal property coverage. In a
Mhm.
landlord policy, you'll still have dwelling coverage, but the personal property in most instances belongs to the tenant. You may get the
Right.
house fully furnished, but we reduce the amount of personal property that you carry. The risk is going to be greater in a landlord policy because the homeowner is not living there.
Mm.
So the premium is probably going to be a little bit more than a homeowner policy because you're covering that extra risk. And there's also something called loss of use built into it. So if there's a fire in the property and the tenant can't live there and you lose rental income for 6 months, you can recover some of that from your landlord policy. So that is not included in a homeowner policy. That's a separate feature of a landlord policy.
Okay.
We also insure if someone puts, the the landlord policy is owned by an LLC. You might see that in a lot of instances. The buyers or the landlords don't put it in their personal name, they're put it in the name of an LLC to shelter themselves. So we insure that as well. Anything else? Any other questions? I hope everyone was able to pull out their phone and scan the QR code and tag me. And I will definitely share your information back and tag you back and share your listings and all the good stuff that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much, Raina. It was a really
Yeah, no
great
problem.
class.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, take care. And
Thank you
Lawrence,
so much,
have
Raina, for coming
yeah,
on and being our
no
guest
problem.
this week. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Lawrence, I'll send you, I have like a PDF for home insurance too, like I did for flood. So I'll send that to you if you want to send it out to your group so they have some of the highlights from today's class.
Yep. Yep,
All
I'll
right.
make sure I send out the flood and the home insurance to everyone
Perfect.
today. So
All right.
you guys can have all that information. Thank you again, Raina. Thanks for
No
joining
problem.
us,
Take care.
guys. I will see you all
Bye.
later and hope you all have a great weekend. Feel free to stop in the office. I'll be here till 1. And have a great one. Talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.